On this episode, we bring you a culmination of drama.
If he does not return, I shall be enraged.
Music. And words creatively woven to encourage and revive the reading culture in Nigeria with a focus on River State. From Port Harcourt, the UNESCO World Book Capital for 2014, I'm Onyi Sunday, and this is Rivers of Possibilities. The World Book Capital is a title bestowed by UNESCO on a city in recognition of the quality of its programs to promote books and reading. In April 2014, Port Harcourt, the River State capital, became the 14th city in the world to earn the title of the World Book Capital. In a colourful event in April 2014 that attracted dignitaries locally and internationally, 2013 recipient Bangkok handed over the baton to Port Harcourt.
So stand up for the champions, stand up.
The event was marked by a week-long program.
For the first time, a city in Africa is been named as the World Book Capital, and what essentially this would do is it would trigger a very important development as far as books are concerned. So reading of books, emergence of new authors, the global recognition of many more authors from all over Africa, and then a complete focus on the importance of human capital, because everything that book is about is the development of the mind, and the mind developed is more creativity, and that can be a counterculture to most of Africa that depends on natural resources for its economy.
Port Harcourt was chosen because of the quality of its programs, especially for its focus on the youth and the improvement of Nigeria's literacy rate. The journey towards that bid, however, began here at Rainbow Book Club in Port Harcourt. Koko Kalango is the founder of the book club that began 10 years ago.
3 Bs are responsible for what is now the Rainbow Book Club, and one I'll say is a burden for society. And I thought to myself, rather than sit down and moan and groan, what can you do? And because of my background, coming from a family where education was presented as everything, naturally the burden would lead me to a venture in education. So that's how I started, because of a burden. And I always say boredom as well. I was raising 2 young children and living in a secluded, privileged community. And when we drive out from where we stayed, then you'd see these children, in abject poverty. And I thought, what can I do? Having received so much, I need to give back. So one of the most fulfilling jobs I've done is with those children. It was in a rural community in the Niger Delta. And then the 3rd B, so there's the burden, there's boredom. The 3rd B is a blessing. I consider myself blessed in every way, from my family, my talent, my background. And I just think, having received so much, that I should give back. And that's how we started the Rainbow Book Club 10 years ago. And we thought we need to draw attention to the importance of reading to personal and national development. And we thought, well, how do we get people to listen to us? We better enlist prominent writers, prominent members of society to lend their voice to the campaign.
The club has evolved over the years, setting up seed libraries, book clubs, publishing books and training sessions for writers. Unknowingly, these achievements laid the foundation for an open bid which saw Port Harcourt compete with cities like Oxford, Lyon and Moscow.
What UNESCO does is put out a call for entries open to all the cities of the world, and whosoever will comes to bid. We saw that, and we thought Nigeria is qualified for various reasons. Nigeria has given the world some of the best writers, the first person of African descent to win the Nobel Prize for Literature, the writer of Africa's most popular novel, Things Fall Apart, other stars in the galaxy, Benokri, Chimamanda Adichie, so many, Neo Shundare. And then we looked at the criteria. Some of the things UNESCO was looking out for is that the city has to be able to show a history in literary events. And you may know that this city is home to writers like Gabriel Okara, Elechi Amadi, Kaine Agari, Igoni Barrett, Chimeka Garrix, the late Olarotimi, the late Ken Saro-Wiwa, etc. So we do have that history, and we had the potential to show that we could be World Book Capital. So that's what they were looking out for. So as I said to you, we approached the authorities, we worked, together. When we put in that bid, naturally, of course, with the, in collaboration with the state, we wrote to the Mr. President and said, we've put in the bid. And we were contacted and supported, like, let's go for it.
The Ministry of Education, we were part of, when the bidding was going on, we were part of it. We worked with Rainbow Book Club. That really happened in my office. We had visitors from Paris, different parts of the world that came, and we filled up the bidding forms right in my office. And after that, I think she took over because she's the consultant and followed through. And we got the news that Rivers State has been nominated to host the World Book Capital.
The perks attached to the title has enabled the club continue its regular programs, expand on existing ones, and start up fresh programs aimed at improving the reading culture and literacy rates of Nigerians. The Walking Book Project is one of such. Aimed at encouraging writing amongst school children, a book was published made up of essays written by children from various schools across the country.
The plan was that the book would walk through the 36 states and Abuja. And the Deputy Governor said, so why don't you do a pilot and let's see how it would work? So we thought, okay, let's do the pilot for the 23 local governments in Rivers State. So we chose schools from every local government and wrote to the schools. Partnership with the Rivers State Commissioner of Education. We worked with her to select schools and wrote to the schools. We gave them various options, topics. Tell us something about your local government. It's really the sights and sounds of the local government. At the federal level, is the sights and sounds of the state. Tell us something about your state. And so we actually had to bring them to Port Harcourt, the teachers, to explain the concept to them and tell them these are the kind of students you want to write, to participate in this writing. Students who are interested in literature, students who are interested in history, students who write properly. And by the opening ceremony, we had that book ready.
The national edition of the Walking Book Project will be launched at the closing ceremony when the baton is passed on to Incheon, Korea next year. So far, the Rainbow Book Club has organized 4 international roadshows showcasing Nigeria's rich literary heritage, donated over 66,000 books to 100 school libraries, and currently runs 200 book clubs in 100 schools across Rivers State.
What we do is that we try to ensure that the books that we are using, primary and secondary schools, or for anything, even for the monthly readings, are books that teach values. So we expect that the children have learned values, the value of honesty, the value of hard work, and that's something we want to, we really believe that we can have generational change in the society by ensuring that children understand these things from, when they are young, they read, they understand that this is how to become a leader, this is how to, even if you want to become wealthy, this is how to get there.
Made up of a selected group of students across classes in both primary and secondary schools, the state's Ministry of Education ensures the books are appropriate for the students.
And an exciting thing happened. She had a cold.
Here at Graceland Montessori, the students are discussing a book titled Grandma in the News.
He's handsome. He's handsome. He has a new car and all the girls in the city like him.
Oh my! All the girls in the city like him, and he has a new
Car.
We give children books to read. They go home, read, come back, and retell the story. But you see, they add more to the story than just what the author wrote. So that's what happens in the book club. Apart from that, the children, their imagination is, is wide.
Rainbow Book Club's evaluation and monitoring team measure the impact the program is having on the students. Idowu Ajani is the monitoring and evaluation coordinator of the Port Harcourt UNESCO World Book Capital 2014 projects. He is in charge of developing tools to measure the effectiveness of the programs initiated.
I came up with two instruments. One of the instruments was called cognitive assessment. We wanted to use this instrument to measure whether learning has taken place or not, and it was administered on our participants. From there, we collected the data, we came to our office, we analyzed, and from there, we were able to see whether the instrument was reliable. And that has been the data we are using now to assess the students.
For program coordinator Mayang Efyong, the impact is immediate.
For the Reading Tree and Book Club programs, even without the M&E impact telling me anything, we see change. You go to a school and you watch a book club meeting and you find kids who are timid, who, are scared to speak up at the meetings. And a few months later, you find some bold kids, they put up their hands. Children who didn't want to speak before, they stand up boldly. You see 8-year-old children who get up to summarize a book, who have learned vocabulary. We're also able to compare their workbooks. Every week after you read a book, you actually answer questions in your workbook. We prepared workbooks for the Reading Tree and the Book Club programs. You can see a child's workbook for first term. You see his vocabulary, his English, the spellings, and months after, you see his workbook, and you can tell that there has been an impact.
A new book is read every week at private and public primary schools.
He often wondered how the kingdom would be without him.
Reading sessions such as these are made more interesting through interaction between students who have become close friends by virtue of the love for literature. Do you really enjoy having these sessions with your friends? Do you really enjoy coming down here to read?
Yes, I enjoy it.
Can you tell me why?
It helps in class.
Tell me how.
Because new words, when we're learning it, others in class that aren't in book club won't know the words except they use the dictionary to learn it.
There are 2,500 students currently participating in book clubs across the state. These books not only afford the students an opportunity to learn, it also helps to shape their character at an early age, as we discover after the break. We also sat with Nigeria's celebrated writer and literary icon, Captain Ilichi Amadi. Do stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching Rivers of Possibilities, and the focus is on the UNESCO World Book Capital 2014 status awarded to Port Harcourt. The lineup of programs to encourage reading and literature continues at the basis, this time at the secondary schools in Rivers State. At this state-owned secondary school, the book in focus is titled What Sunny Saw in the Flame, an African literature written by Nnedi Okorafo. Just tell me a little bit more about the story.
The story is about Sunny, who does not know that her grandmother is among the leopard. It's just about leopard. They are doing some juju. So Ongu Shasha was the first encounter in which she met. So she was initiated to leopards. So
what does she do with the powers that she has?
She used it to make someone afraid of her, but not in the physical world, but in the spiritual world.
She don't use it in the physical world. She only uses it when she wants to cross the bridge, and she also uses it when they went to fight Black Hat Otokoto, when he was about to bring out Ekwensu, the dangerous spirit.
Almost everyone has an interpretation of the book and the message behind it.
Sonny inspired me in the sense that even though my family are poor, no matter circumstances I see myself, I can stand out to defend myself, my family, my friends, and even my country.
In collaboration with the River State government, a lot of programs designed by the club have been implemented with various levels of success. River State Commissioner for Education, Dame Alice Lawrence Nemi, believes the gains recorded today are as a result of the turnaround in the state's education sector.
But you know, when you're doing something, really, you don't even know, at the end of the day, something will come out of it. Now, with the World Book Capital, once this administration came in place, His Excellency became the governor of River State. I think he was plowing the seed, without a young man who came in and felt, well, I'm here to turn around the educational sector. Not really only my sector, some other sectors, but let me speak for Minister of Education. I'm here to change the face of River State. Now for education, this is what I want to do. He declared a state of emergency. We started building the school. He made sure that they required what we require in what a model primary school should look like. Same with the secondary school. And I know that he loves reading too. And he insisted, each time he goes to the school, the first question he will ask the head teacher is, I hope you're using your library. And they will say yes. He will go back again. Luckily, he found out that actually they have it on their timetable. So it's an investment which he started since 2008 to ensure that once the infrastructure of any school, there must be a library, a well-stocked library.
This model primary school was built in commemoration of the UNESCO World Book Capital event. Many more like it can be found across the state.
Quite a lot of children are beginning to read. Apart from that, things like spelling bees and all that, we also go for such competitions. And from the response I get there's a lot of improvement, particularly in our public schools. If you go to some of the schools, like St. Andrews, Dame Alice Lawrence Nemi Model Primary School, Christie, and the 200 model primary schools that we have in the States, children now know and they're happy to utilize their library.
There are over 13,000 teachers in the state's education system, spread across 200 schools in the state. It's one thing to build functional schools and another to ensure the students receive quality education. The poor reading culture in Nigeria is worrisome, and this has been blamed on a number of factors.
I think it's an attitude to parenting. I am someone who believes that the family comes first. And I'm talking from my own experience. It's going to be subjective because I think everyone will be subjective in their own responses to issues in life. I believe, for me, the family comes first. And I think that's the first place that we can make change. So, for instance, I would tell the parents, and I did it. My children are older now, like in teenage years, but growing up, I read to them. What I'm doing in the wider society, I've done at home. It has worked, and they continue to top their classes, continue to excel in what they're doing, particularly in literature, things to do with reading. So I would like to encourage parents to take our responsibility very seriously. If we want to see change in the lives of our children, I always say to children in the book clubs, change begins with me. I don't believe in pointing fingers at anybody, whether it's government, leadership. I honestly don't believe it. I ask myself, what have you done? What have you done to make Nigeria better? What have you done to make Port Harcourt better?
In order to capture a wider audience, especially the youths, the club organizes the Book of the Month event. The Book of the Month is discussed amongst a wider audience with the themes debated at every reading. An excerpt from a book is dramatized at these reading sessions by the Institute of Arts and Culture from the University of Port Harcourt.
If he does not return my spare, if he does not return, I shall be enraged. I shall grow furious. He shall cry in my hands, helpless, like a woman about to give birth.
One of Nigeria's oldest living writer, Captain Elechi Amadi, is an award-winning African author and playwright. Captain Amadi was chair of judges in the Africa 39 project aimed at celebrating great writers under the age of 40 from Africa and south of the Sahara. He is excited over Port Harcourt's status as the World Book Capital for 2014.
Well, we're very happy. We in Port Harcourt, we are very proud, and we've been boasting about it. But at least I think we deserve it because we got one or two writers here. I'm here, Gabriel Akara is here. Sarawiwa used to be around. And so I think it's not an undeserved recognition. It's going to finally convert Port Harcourt from a purely commercial oil town to something more cultural and more intellectual. Yeah, because I've always lamented that Port Harcourt is a swinging town, nice town, but culturally and intellectually it's very dull.
According to the octogenarian, a man cannot be left-handed in old age. The same, he says, applies to reviving the reading culture.
Well, it's difficult to bring back the book midstream. When a woman is middle-aged and habits all formed and so on, if he or she is not used to reading as a form of pleasure, you can't inculcate it at that time. So you just have to get back to the roots, start to catch them young. So we have to equip our secondary schools with good libraries, good literature teachers who can inspire them. And then, you see, it's a habit that has to be inculcated in the child.
Now, what qualities should a good literature teacher possess?
Passion. Passion. The moment you show passion, the students pick it up. And that's where the love begins. You know, you yourself should show that indeed you are passionate about literature. Then your students will just take after you easily, you know. And it's not even only in literature, in other subjects.
Poised to capture the older generation eager to learn and further their education, Rainbow Book Club, in partnership with Faith Baptist Church, is running adult learning programs.
Look at what I have written on the board. A noun which refers to one person, animal, place, or thing is what? Singular, e.g., man.
Benedict Mokafo will be 60 years old in July. She's here to learn to read and write.
The teachers have to speak like today's own way you people see. They teach us about noun, pronoun, verb, adjective. They teach us different how we will join it together and use it to make sentence.
As the campaign to promote the reading culture spreads gradually across Nigeria, stakeholders that make this possible may be facing tougher times ahead. With the recent amendments to the country's common external tariff, the combination of import duties and levies on books have gone up to 62.5%.
The office of the Minister of Finance should be able to explain how this tariff is there. Publishers are complaining about it because it made the cost of books rise, you know, and books and educational materials, we shouldn't be having these tariffs. Not only are the tariffs unfair to publishers, they are illegal.
In spite of the challenges ahead, Chimeka Garrix, author of the book Tomorrow Died Yesterday, believes adopting a style of writing to suit today's audience type may be a solution to changing the poor reading culture.
The truth is, the books are no longer in the format that we know. They're no longer the traditional formats. And people have, I think, shorter attention spans now because of, like you said, mobile devices. So the trick for me is to put books in mobile devices. Most people now wouldn't have the time to read a novel. I mean, if you go online, people read articles like 2,000 words and they complain that it's too long, you know. So, for example, the short story form might be the way fiction should go now. People might no longer have the time to read novels. Yes, few people will read. I will still read novels. Other people, maybe you might. But younger people now will do short stories and they have blogs and all that.
The 23rd of April marks the end of Port Harcourt's reign as UNESCO's World Book Capital for 2014. With less than 60 days to go, the mission to be the best World Book Capital ever is ongoing. According to Frank Serafini, there is no such thing as a child who hates to read. There are only children who have not found the right book. Find the right book today and join us next time for another interesting episode of Rivers of Possibilities. I'm Onyi Sunday. Thanks for watching.